Welcome to the What's Your Legacy podcast, where we dive into the legacy that changed lives and the stories behind them. Today, I'm thrilled to sit down with Michael Keene. Keene is a writer and hospice social worker based in Seattle. Born in Germany, he spent his early years in Japan and Panama before his family settled in Puyallup, Washington. His academic journey took him across the country, earning the following degrees: a BA from the University of California Berkeley, MSW from Columbia University, an MFA from Syracuse University, and a PhD from the University of Louisiana. He is the author of Notes from the Trauma Party, a deeply personal and critically regarded work published by a New York City press. His writing explores themes of resilience, identity, and the complexities of the human experience. Beyond his literary and academic achievements, Keene considers his sobriety his greatest accomplishment. These days, he calls Seattle home, where he works as a hospice social worker, helping people navigate through life's toughest moments. He shares this space with his dog, Desmond, who's very sweet, but unfortunately, not very bright.
Not very smart, no.
Oh, man. Join us as we uncover what drives him, the values he hopes to leave behind, and maybe a few surprises along the way. I'm your host, Elsa Espino, a fine art photographer, aspiring producer, and creative force in theater and TV. From behind the camera to on stage, I'm here to bring you stories of impact and legacy. Welcome, Michael. So glad you can make it in today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Elsa.
Of course, of course. For our first segment, our legacy vision, we're going to ask a few questions. Michael, what values or principles do you hope people remember most about you?
I would like people to remember me as a kind person, as someone that is a good friend. Someone that's thoughtful and that tries to put himself in alignment with goodness or the good. You know, I just want to be remembered as someone that treated people well, mainly. Yeah.
Nice. And are these characteristics stuff that you do in your daily life or work?
Yeah, I think they're really important in my job as a social worker. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with people that are dying and, it's their final days or weeks, and I want to make sure that their transition is calm and peaceful and that they feel seen and understood. Because a really hard part, based on my experience, is that people that are dying, they feel very alone,
Mm-hmm.
and cut off from people. And it's a painful thing to feel really alone. And if you can make someone feel like you're sharing their experience and that you're a part of it, then, they'll, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good thing, to make people feel seen and understood when they're about to leave the earth.
Has a patient or a person from hospice told you like a compliment about like your work and how you make them feel?
Well, I mean, they're after the person dies, I work for a place called Providence Hospice, and they'll, make phone calls after the person dies, check in with the family. And they'll also send them things in the mail so that they can, we can get reviewed or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a place where they can leave comments. And people will say, like, Michael was of great comfort to me and my family. And I've been invited to memorials. I've been invited to funerals too. And that's a huge honor, because I was only with this person for the last 6 months, 3 months of their life. But the family feels close enough to me that they want me to be at the memorial. I mean, that's a huge, huge honor.
Wow. You must have made a real impact in their life, especially if they valued you so much and they wanted you there.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Okay. Well, Michael, we're going to transition and go into our first challenge. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I've never been more ready.
Okay, let's get it. So, your challenge for today is the What Matters Most speed round.
Okay.
You have 60 seconds to list as many things as possible that truly matter in life based on what you've learned from your experience in hospice. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, you're going to have a 1-minute timer. It'll go off and you'll hear a buzzer.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. Let's go.
Okay, I would say telling the people around you how much they mean to you and how much you love them, the impact they've had on your life. I would say being compassionate, trying to understand other people that are different from you, because some people, their experiences are very different, and you might not understand them at first, but you should try to understand them because that makes you feel connected to people. I would say being really honest about your experience, because if you want to feel connected to someone, the way that you do that is by saying what's really in your heart and how you want to share how you look at the world, because that's what makes you feel seen. Trying to have a positive impact on the people around you. Not family is important, but not just your family. And I have 5 seconds to spare. Yes, let's stop there. Let's stop there.
Pause. Michael A. I feel like those messages so profound because like you don't think about these things on the daily, and it's like things that you should be thinking about, especially with like those in your circle, loved ones.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line, and it's scary to think about, is that this could end at any moment. You could have an aneurysm, you could have a heart attack, whatever. And so let the people know how much you mean to them, the people around you, because you don't know. We're not guaranteed another moment,
That's important of being president. Oh, Lord. I'm on one today. That's the second time I do that. That is the importance of being present because if we live in, like, other moments, you just can't value what's, like, in front of your eyes, the moment right here, right now.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that we think about or that we fantasize about or we worry about, they're never going to happen. Thinking like, I'm going to be a movie star, probably not going to happen. Me thinking that, the world's going to end tomorrow, probably not going to happen. Some of those things will happen, but not me being a movie star.
Michael deserves to be a movie star.
I deserve it. I mean, I'm waiting. But, most of the things that we obsess about are not going to happen.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
So we're going to switch gears and go back into some questions. Michael, how do you want your life's work to influence future generations?
I mainly just want to be remembered as someone that was loving and that wanted the best for people around them. And I heard one time I obviously don't remember the quote because my memory's bad, but someone said, years down the line, no one's going to remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And I want people to remember me as someone that made them feel really good, as made them feel like they were seen and appreciated and that had like just good energy, yeah.
And I can vouch for that. Knowing you on a more personal level, Michael, I think you always like being so welcoming and such a friendly person has,
That's
always
sweet.
been so like nice and
thanks, Elsa. That's sweet.
It's hard to be a friend, but when you got friends like Michael, that's not like
that's funny.
It's amazing. He's amazing, y'all.
That's funny.
And what's one piece of advice you'd give to the next generations of leaders in your field?
Like social workers or writers
work, hospice, anything you'd like to say. Maybe both.
I would say for writers, I know a lot of writers. I know a lot of artists. If they were anything like me, I would say really be careful with drinking because a lot of artists are prone to drinking very heavily. So I would say either if you are like me, you should get sober as early as possible. But even if you don't have addiction issues, like keep it under control because something like that will interfere with your creativity. So I would say that. As a social worker, it's not the same thing, but I would say take care of yourself. Like self-care is a big thing because, in my field, it is hard seeing people die and especially seeing people like in physical pain, which I do encounter. I'll see people in a lot of pain. And I have to take care of myself. And I do that by having a really good friend group, spending time with my dog, as you know, doing karaoke. Things like that are really important to me and help me stay balanced emotionally.
That's some good piece of advice, taking care of oneself, especially in like those fields.
Yeah, and especially just like with the state of the world and everything, it's hard being human and it's hard to be healthy. It's always been hard and it's hard now, but do the best you can because it's no fun being really depressed and anxious,
Thank you, Michael. So we're going to transition into another challenge.
Oh, great.
Are you ready, Michael?
I've never been more ready,
Okay.
except for the first time when I was...
Okay. Second time around. He's already ready. Got it? Okay. So, Michael, I'm going to have you close your eyes.
Okay.
Don't look in the box.
Okay.
We're going to shake things up in our legacy box. Okay? And I'm going to have you... Yep. Okay. So I'm going to have you pick something out of the box, and whatever you pull out, please share a memorable moment or a story inspired by this
Do I
object.
open my eyes?
Yeah, you can open your eyes now.
Oh, it's a watch. Okay. Well, let me think. A watch. I remember a watch that a patient had. Mm-hmm. She was very proud of it, and there's this wonderful moment with her where she said, I was talking about karaoke, which is what I do because it's a huge part of my life. And she was like, oh, I did karaoke the other, about 6 months ago with my daughter. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And she was like, would you like to hear the song? And I was like, sure. And I thought she was going to she was dying of lung cancer. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I thought she was going to put on a record player or something. And I would hear the song. But she just started singing. She just started singing in front of me. And the lyrics, it was like some song from the 40s or 50s, because she was pretty old. And I just remember her singing, and I started crying because it was so beautiful, you know. It was just a beautiful, vulnerable moment. And the lyrics, I forget the lyrics, but it had to do with, saying goodbye to your boyfriend, you know. But, I mean, in that context, it felt like her saying goodbye to life, you know. Because it had very nostalgic sort of feel to it, but it's just a magical moment. It's not really that connected to the watch, but it was just, those are the moments that you kind of hold on to when you're working in the field. Just the moments that really, I mean, that was a moment like that, or moments where, and she did this too. She told her daughter, you've given meaning to my life. I love you, and you've given meaning to my life. That's something that her daughter will remember for the rest of her life, and I was there for that.
Damn.
I was there for the moment that this woman told her daughter, you've given meaning to my life. That's magic. That's incredible to be around for something like that. Okay, so hopefully that was connected to the watch.
No, listen, I to be a fly on the wall, to see that moment.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's a tearjerker.
It's totally nuts. Yeah, well, more than a tearjerker, I cried, which I don't do a lot in my job, at least on the job. But they seem to like it too. It shows that you're human.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
As we reflect on our younger selves, there's always so much we wish we could have said or done differently. The wisdom we gain over the years often shapes our paths in ways we couldn't have predicted back then. If you could go back to a key moment in your life, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think just the general advice would be I felt lonely for a lot of my life, or disconnected. And so I think best advice I could give is that if you want to feel connected to the people around you, be honest about who you are and how you feel, because that's how you connect with people. Is if I'm people pleasing, or I'm trying to make people see myself a certain way, then I'm never going to be seen, because I'm not being honest about who I am. And that makes you feel lonely. And I feel less lonely than I ever have at any point in my life, and that's because I'm being more honest than I've been at any point in my life about who I am and how I feel and how I see the world. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. I think that vulnerability peels back so many layers of being able to connect with people, and I think a lot of people appreciate vulnerability to feel more connected with you. And
if you're vulnerable, it makes the other person feel safe, and then they're more likely to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about that advice, how do you think it could help others facing similar challenges today?
You just got to do it. There's no way out but through. The way that you learn to be comfortable being vulnerable is by being vulnerable. You can't. It's like riding a bike. I could give you all the instructions about how to ride a bike, but you're not going to be able to ride it until you sit down on the bike and you ride it and you actually learn how to do it. And being vulnerable and being honest you have to take that first step, and it's risky, and you have to have faith that it will be okay. But you learn to be vulnerable by learning to be vulnerable,
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
And before we wrap up today, I'd love to close with a question that takes us through a decade of choice moment. If you had to pick one decade that truly shaped you, which one would it be and why?
I would say probably my 30s, I guess. Well, I'm 41, so it's hard to say that. I mean, I'll give two answers.
Okay.
My 30s and my 40s.
Okay.
I feel like I've grown the most in my 40s in the last year and a half because I've really done a lot of emotional work in sobriety, but I got sober at 38. So it's been about 2.5 years. In my 30s, I suffered a lot. I went through a lot of pain. Break up with my ex-fiance. We were together for 5 years. Serious addiction problems. And I really, it was really tough. But I learned from it, and I was able, because I got sober, I was able to integrate and come to terms with a lot of things and make a lot of progress. I don't think I would have made that progress unless I had struggled as much as I did, you know? I mean, there's the whole whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger thing. And I don't know that I totally agree with that, but there are many things there are many times where you do overcome certain obstacles and you're stronger for it. And I feel like I am stronger than I've ever been. Not literally.
No. You got the muscles. I see it, Michael.
Yeah.
Y'all don't even know.
I actually was suspended from school once.
Really?
And you know why?
Why?
For bringing these guns.
No, stop. Oh my God.
I also, no, that's not true. I actually, I heard you have some pet rabbits that I might need. You know why?
Why?
To feed these pythons.
Stop. No. He's too much, y'all.
Yeah.
Ay. As we near the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with this final thought. When it's all said and done, what do you hope people say about you at your funeral or celebration of life?
Well, I mean, on a funnier level, I'd like them to say like that he was absolutely incredible at karaoke. That like life, like one of the best karaoke singers I've ever seen. And other than that, I just hope all my friends and family can come together and just kind of remember, share some memories about. Because, I mean, I'm kind of a weird guy, so, there's a lot of funny anecdotes about spending time with me. I just want people to remember me fondly. That's it.
I can totally agree with the karaoke thing. I'm like, knowing you are the karaoke king. Karaoke
not true.
king.
I'm not even a good singer.
What?
But I bring
No.
people together.
It's your presence. You're just like such a welcoming presence.
Well, thanks, Elsa. That's nice.
What steps are you taking right now to ensure that your legacy becomes a reality?
Well, I take a lot of people to karaoke. I just moment by moment, I try to be kind with the people that I'm with and to be welcoming, like you said, just to be kind. I mean, if you do that, like people respond to that. If you're nice to people, I mean, it sounds like such a basic observation, and it is, but if you're nice to people, that makes them much more likely to be nice to you. And if you're vulnerable around people, it makes them likely to be vulnerable around you. And so basically like modeling the way I want to be in the world, or the way that I want the world to be. That was a confusing way of putting it. The way that I want other people to treat each other should be mirrored by the way that I treat people. I want people to be kind to me, so I'm kind to people. It's like the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's basically, I want to be treated kindly and with grace and with love, so I try to be graceful and loving and kind.
Nice. I think that's a good general rule to live by, for sure.
Agreed.
And before we close out, do you have anything else you'd like to say on today's podcast?
Just you're a very kind and loving person, and I'm grateful to know you, and I'm excited for our friendship to only grow in the years that come.
Well, thank you, Michael, for joining us on this journey of reflection, wisdom, and legacy. Remember, everyone, the choices you make today are the stories others will tell tomorrow. So live boldly, leave your mark, and create a legacy that inspires. Until next time, keep making an impact, and remember, someone is always paying attention.